Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Come on.
Thank you, everyone. I know it's been a long day, and even though it's only Wednesday, it's been a long week. Lots of walking, lots of information. Hopefully, we'll keep this as lively and fast-paced as possible. I want to welcome you and thank you for being here. My name is Matthew Roach. I'm a program manager on the Power BI team.
And my name is Miguel Jobis. I'm a program manager on the data integration team, which is a partner team to Power BI and enables data connectivity for many products across the business applications group, including Power BI, Power Apps, Logic Apps Flow, Azure Analysis Services, the Common Data Service for apps, and Power BI data flows, as well as Excel with Power Query NM and the on-premises data gateway.
And we're here.
That was a short introduction.
Because we only have 45 minutes for the whole session, we have to keep the intros short.
43 minutes on my intro and then 2 minutes for content.
Sounds about right. So we're here to talk about new capabilities that are coming soon in Power BI. You've probably heard about data flows. You've seen them in other sessions. You may have seen Miguel and I speaking about them earlier today.
How many of you were at our session this morning? So, OK, so it's going to be a repeat, but a subset. So you might as well leave if you want, because we're not going to give you anything new. But if you really liked it, you're welcome.
We never know what's going to come out of our mouths until it has.
Yeah.
So the thing that I want to do before we jump into the new stuff is to take a look at some old stuff, basically context setting and establishing some of the problem domain that we're already familiar with. So BI applications have at their core data sources at one end and output, insights, analytics, visualizations at the other. This may include OLTP systems, could be files, could be databases, could be web services, but data lives and is produced in one location, and it needs to be consumed by people in another location. Over the years, we've learned that having a data warehouse solves significant parts of this end-to-end problem about standardization, consistency, concurrency, things along those lines. And in recent years, fulfilling a very similar function in the end-to-end stack, we've introduced data lakes as well. I do want to mention for the folks that are taking pictures of the slides, although you may take photos of the slides, there's nothing here that's under NDA. Be aware that the slides will be shared for attendees afterwards, and you can then take a higher quality picture of your laptop. So in order to get the data into that data warehouse, see if they've laughed at this joke, the bar is really low in the afternoon. Yep. In order to get the data into the data warehouse, we have a data preparation or ETL subsystem. This ETL subsystem is where a lot of the complexity and cost in the end-to-end application is. And we also have, in order to support the additional scale and the requirements of modern BI applications with many concurrent users interactively interacting with data in an ad hoc manner, we also have in-memory analytics models, so cubes or tabular models. None of the technologies in this end-to-end picture are really significant. You probably are thinking of specific technologies because that's what you've used, or because we're with Microsoft and Microsoft has technologies in all of these spots, but the pattern is the same. And one of the patterns that has been introduced in the last 5 to 10 years is that of self-service business intelligence. Self-service BI is designed to enable organizations to be more responsive and get more insights by enabling business users and analysts to build typically the reports, the visualizations, and sometimes the models for the data to do things without needing IT involvement. I can answer my own questions and get data in a way that hasn't been delivered to me because of these tools. They make it easier and more accessible for more people in more personas. And that persona pivot for self-service BI is often the most important thing. Self-service BI tools, to a large extent, do the same function that a traditional pro BI tool would do. They simply do it targeted at a different class of user, different type of person. And at least in Power BI, we also have self-service data preparation that has always been part of Power BI. You're familiar with Power Query, I assume. If you're not familiar with Power Query, it's going to be a long 45 minutes. But the key thing with Power Query and Power BI today is that it bypasses that data warehouse tier so that those self-service BI users are typically loading the new data into their analytics models, which may include data from the centrally managed data warehouse, but it reintroduces some problems. And what we're talking about today is capabilities that, first of all, we want to show you, but then we want to demonstrate how it fills this gap and other gaps. If we think about the challenges that are faced in modern BI, just sort of summarizing what we talked about, there's data all over the place, and there's always going to be an increasing amount of data in an increasing number of places. Typically, you need a wide variety of skills. ETL and data prep in particular, it's hard. So the professional tools to use this are not designed for general business users or analysts, so you need specialized people. There's no consistent way of modeling common business entities because every application will model customer or product differently. And tying the whole thing together, taking the individual pieces that may be pro-built or may be self-service, tying them together into a cohesive, supportable whole is difficult, regardless of the tools that you use. So Miguel was going to show us sort of a simple end-to-end view to give you a visual idea of what's coming in Power BI, and then we'll look at it interactively in a little bit more depth.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matthew. So for the first demo, we're just going to do a quick end-to-end tour of the data flow capabilities in Power BI. Data flows are still in private preview. Probably many or some of you are in the private preview program. For those of you who are not, the public preview would come in a few weeks. So just stay tuned for that. But once you have that public preview available within your Power BI tenant, you're going to be able to go into a workspace like this one. And you'll be able to see a new tab. So this is the usual workspace summary view where you have the list of reports and data sets that are already published in that workspace. You're going to see a new tab for data flows. And I already have a few data flows defined here, but I can also go and create a new one from the Create menu up here on the top. Once I do that, I'm going to get into the data flow authoring experience. So from here, I can go and start adding data flow entities or entities to my data flow. The experience for that is Power Query Online. So as you can see, this is an embedded version of Power Query Online environment. This is a fully web-based environment for Power Query. You're probably used to Power Query in desktop. This one is still behind in terms of capabilities because we just started with this new project less than 2 years ago, as opposed to the Power Query desktop, which has been going on for about 5 or 6 years. So just keep that in mind as you start playing with it. We have about 25 connectors right now versus the 85 plus that we have in desktop. In terms of transformation capabilities, we share the same underlying engine, which is the mashup engine, the M engine. So everything that you author in desktop transformations-wise would still work and refresh just fine on the web. There might still be gaps in terms of the user experience for some of those data transformations. A good example would be something like the column from examples experience, which we have in desktop. We don't have yet in Power Query Online, but it's something that's coming, and we're working towards full parity, hopefully within the next 6 to 12 months. And we'll do that incrementally based on feedback on what's urgent and what's not for your scenarios. So for this first demo, I'm actually going to use something that's a new concept. It's a concept of a template. And think about it, the relationship between a template and a connector. So let's pick, for example, Salesforce. We have Salesforce objects and Salesforce reports connectors, which allow you to just connect and pick the tables you want, and then from there, apply the transformations you need to get the data into the right shape. With a template, we actually fast-track many of that effort because we predefine what we think the right transformations are in order to go, in this case, from data in Salesforce to actually data in the CDM shape. And CDM, we'll talk a little bit more about it later. How many of you have heard about CDM already this week? Okay, so it's a common data model. We'll talk a bit more about it. But think about it as a standardized schema for business entities. So let's actually go and use that template. We click on the Salesforce template, and all I need to do is just sign in with my Salesforce account, which, believe it or not, is the hardest part of my demo, which is talking and typing the right password at the same time. I got good at it because I've demoed this a bunch of times, so it did work on first attempt. But once I do that and click Next, I get into the equivalent to the query editor experience in Power Query Online. And here we already have 8 queries. So we've predefined queries to actually pull the account table from Salesforce and user and opportunity and a bunch more. And we've already applied a bunch of steps, as you can see here, including mapping to CDM, which is something that I'll show you a demo about later about how you can do it from scratch. But if you like this predefined set of entities, all you actually need to do is just click Done. And this will save the definition of those queries, those entities, entity logic to the data flow. And it will show it back to us in here. So from here, I could either get back to the experience to add more stuff through PQ, or I could just save this data flow definition. So I'm going to call this breakout session demo 1. And I'm going to give it a description, demo one. That's a very descriptive description, right? So once I say that we've succeeded, so now we can either refresh now or set up a scheduled refresh. Let's actually go into the refresh schedule, or I should have been able to click that. You could do it also from here. So we have our breakout session one, so I could refresh now, or I could go a scheduled refresh. For those of you already familiar with the Power BI data sets, scheduled refresh capabilities, and the user experience, this will feel very familiar. You could pick a gateway. In this case, I actually don't need one because it's a cloud-based data source. The credentials you could configure, and then the actual schedule. So you could do daily, or you could do weekly, or multiple times per day. So very consistent with what you can do already for data sets. After all, what we're doing is just defining this ETL to extract data, in this case from Salesforce, and load it into Azure Data Lake, which is the underlying storage for data flows. And the end outcome of this would be that your business users would be able to use Power BI Desktop to connect to these entities and just pull in data to create their actual models and their reports on top of that, which we'll show in a later demo in a few minutes. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Matthew.
So we just saw some new capabilities. I think Miguel did an awesome job of presenting and summarizing, so I'm not going to
without breathing in between.
We also want to point out, as we mentioned earlier, we've had self-service data prep for a long time, for as long as we've had Power BI. We're introducing new self-service data prep capabilities with a few key differentiation points on what we've had before, one of which we just saw is the self-service low-code, no-code experience. So who built that Salesforce connector? Well, it's in the box. It's in the cloud, right? So,
right, so
Miguel probably built it.
Actually, I didn't, but some other people on our team built that specific template. Now we're actually working with other ISVs and partners, both inside and outside Microsoft, to create new templates. And over time, we also plan to open that up, so it's a completely open ecosystem, and anyone could create their own templates.
So in this scenario, the template is essentially an app. Microsoft will develop some, ISVs and third parties will develop some, and people who want to use it to pull in data from a well-known source like Salesforce, there's no code, they just follow the simple steps that Miguel has followed. The low-code experience is building a query in Power Query where you can use graphical tools to define your data preparation and data transformation logic. We're building this fully into Power BI. If you have Power BI, as soon as the public preview is available and you opt in, or as soon as we go GA, this capability will be available to you. So Pro or Premium, you will have data flows. It's not something that you need to buy. You don't need an Azure subscription. You don't need any other stuff. It's part of Power BI. And the reason I stress this is probably one of the most common questions that I hear. There are deeper Azure integration stories where you can use your own Azure Data Lake resource, but it's not required. We're using the same connectivity stack, that same mashup engine for connecting to data that Power BI already uses. So it has that same set of cloud and on-premises data connectors, similar to the UI in Power Query in the browser. We're not yet at full parity with all of the connectors that work in Power BI Desktop, but we're getting there. We're supporting Microsoft's common data model, which is a standard schema for representing business entities. Miguel showed this, but he didn't stress it, where the data that's coming from Salesforce, so coming from a third-party web service or SaaS offering, that is loaded into a schema that has been open sourced and made available to the community that both industry partners can contribute to and help evolve, but also ISVs and other third parties can use those CDM schemas as a contractor, as an interface to develop reports, ML models, AI logic, and so on, without needing to know where the data comes from. So enabling new reuse and extension scenarios. And of course, data flows are all about reuse. The data flows themselves are artifacts or objects inside a Power BI workspace, but they're designed to be shared. So the data flow that Miguel created with all of those entities with Salesforce data, any user that is a member of that workspace can use those data flow entities as a data source to build a PBIX file and a model and reports and visualizations and publish it and share it anywhere that they have permissions to. If you think it is just a database that is managed by and part of the Power BI service, because it's a data source focused on and designed for reuse, you're not far off in this context. And one of the things that Miguel mentioned again, but didn't super stress, this is built on
I don't want to stress anyone, not myself, not the topics. I'm a stress-free person.
I need to learn that. That's not my forte. I am a stress-based person. So we have all of these capabilities are built on top of Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. And this means that we have the full power of Azure Data Lake. And in our default situation, so the stuff that we're going to demonstrate today, Power BI manages that Azure storage. So Power BI writes to it, Power BI reads from it, and you don't need your own subscription, but there are a significant number of deep integration stories with Azure services and any application that can work with text file data in Azure that this lights up. And one of them is having the ability to scale out through Databricks or Spark or other big data compute engines to do in-lake transformations on data that you would not be able to do in most non-big data sources. And of course, all of these capabilities are what we're talking about when we talk about data flows in Power BI. So part of the platform, integrated, no code, low code, or pro code, and designed for reuse. It's also worth stressing, data flows are part of the stack. Data flows are not replacing data sets. What you will see as sort of a standard pattern is your reports and your dashboards and your visualizations will continue to be built on those data sets, those tabular in-memory analytics models, where your data sets may use one or more data flows as one of their sources. And then, of course, the rest of the storage, the rest of the stack is underneath it. The reason I stress this is because one of the other common questions that I hear is, does this replace data sets? How does it replace the data sets? Well, or how does it relate to data sets? It's just another data source that data sets can use. And with this approach, we're making it easier for more users. Remember that persona pivot, right? So your business analyst, your finance analyst, the person who really knows what data he needs, but he may not be able to write a data factory pipeline or a SQL Server integration services package. He can use Power Query in the browser to pull together and align that fragmented data to get it into one place without requiring specialized skills. There's still a place for pro ETL and data prep tools. So we're not replacing data factory or integration services or whatever ETL process you use today. There will be better fits for different technologies depending on the specifics of your scenario. But we're reducing the need for those specialists for a lot of common scenarios. Support for the common data model gives us that common business schema. So even if the data is coming from multiple sources, you can reuse it and consume it in common ways. And this will be sort of the note that we end on at the end of the session. We're also taking steps through the Excel-like nature of data flows when they interact with each other. We're making it so that a lot of the complexity of orchestrating a large-scale BI application is eliminated or reduced.
Okay, so just to stress a few more things. The first one that I wanted to call out is the fact that the Power Query Online experience that I showed you to get data into a data flow within Power BI, it's the same experience that we're providing to get data into the common data service for apps, which is the transactional system that our first-party Dynamics 365 applications already use. And it's also a great transactional system that you can use to stage data so that then you can create Power Apps on top of. How many of you use Power Apps today or have tried it? Okay, quite a few. So yeah, Power Apps was great on top of a common data service for apps, data, and entities because it understands the semantics of a CDM, of a standard entities so that it can provide additional validation logic, business rules, even special controls for like inputting values and writing back to the common data service for apps for those specific entities and fields. So just keep that in mind. With that, let's actually focus a little bit on the common data model layer, which we mentioned before is the set of out-of-the-box business entity definition that we've kind of bootstrapped based on the existing Dynamics 365 apps. So CRM, sales, service entities, they're all part of the common data model core. But this is also extensible. So you could create your own packets and solutions on top of CDM. Think about it as the same as .NET. So .NET has a set of core language runtime and libraries, but you could also create your own on top and extend .NET. So similarly with CDM, so for example, we've been partnering with a few ISVs on the healthcare industry to actually develop a healthcare CDM extension, and we could do many more like that. More so, you probably went to the keynote on Monday or watched it online. We talked about the Open Data Initiative. So this is just an evolution of the common data model effort that we've been driving for the last few months, the best part of the last year, actually, the last 12 months, where we stood up, or Satya stood up, together with the Adobe and SAP CEOs who are standing behind this initiative as well, with the goal of making a statement about having that set of business entities have a uniform or a single data model across, so it's easier to move and synchronize data across systems, not just within Microsoft systems, but also across companies. And we're opening that up for the entire industry and the entire ISV ecosystem out there, from large ISVs to small ISVs. Everyone is welcome to that. With that said, let's go and actually take a deeper look at data flows, and we'll cover a couple more demos. So we're going back to the authoring experience here. Let me actually get back to my workspace, main workspace page. And now we're going to go back to my data flows list, and we're going to create another data flow. In this case, I'm actually going to go create something from scratch. It's still simple, so I'm just going to connect to an Excel file to start with. And let's take a look at that file. So it's a file that's sitting in OneDrive for Business, and it looks something like this. So it's an interesting one to showcase the capabilities of Power Query for data transformations because it has a very particular structure. So it has a first row with just a bunch of CD names, and then a second row with just a bunch of product categories. And then it has column A is full with numbers which look like years, right? It just happens to be, yes, sir?
I would like to make a comment when you're done with the intro.
Okay, sounds good. And then we have a bunch of numbers in the middle. So we, as humans, we're actually smart enough to understand that this 5,563 value actually means something like total sales for miscellaneous products in Seattle for year 2006. But this is by no means in a machine-friendly or readable format that's ready for analytics or visualizations.
Yeah, and this to me is the canonical self-service BI scenario. Time and time again, we see people who are trying to solve a problem and they find the data, but it's in a shape, in a format that was never designed to be used as a data source. So obviously, this was produced as part of a report by somebody's process, and you found it and it has the numbers that you need, but how are you going to get this as one more input into the analytics that no one has ever thought of? So it's not big data, but this is for me, it feels like one of the most real demos that there is.
All right. In fact, this actually came from a customer question on the Power Query forums a few years ago. I've actually reused this quite a bit. Of course, I've obfuscated data, so they're not real numbers. So all I did was actually go to the file backstage to copy that path to the clipboard. This is actually the best way for you to actually connect to a file that sits in OneDrive for Business from Power Query. And then you need to remove that last part with the web equals 1. But now we have the whole URL to that file in here. And I'm already signed in with my organizational account, so we'll just click Next. And now we're going to get you into the equivalent to the Navigator dialog from Power Query, where we're going to be able to see all of the relevant objects that are available in this file. In this case, it's just one spreadsheet, so I'll just select that one and click Next. And we're going to go into the query editor. So in this case, as opposed to the Salesforce example, we do have to apply a bunch of transformations, as Matthew was pointing out. The first thing we need to do is actually turn rows into columns. So for that, we have the transpose operation. And now data starts to look better, but we still have that first row here, which is actually should be the headers. So we can actually go also to transform and use first row as headers. Now we have the right headers for years, but for the other two columns, we don't have proper names, so let's actually fix that. This is city, and this is category. And now it's starting to look much better, but the next thing we need to do is actually transform that set of columns we have, one column per year with the numbers, to actually become rows, one row per year with the actual sales number for that specific product category. For that, we're going to use the unpivot operation. we're going to actually use the unpivot other columns operation, which means in this case, I selected city and category, and I'm telling Power Query that all the other columns that exist in the table should be unpivoted, which is really important if you actually want to operationalize this, because next year, when somebody adds to this Excel spreadsheet a new column with the actual sales numbers for 2018, they'll actually just come through the right way with what I did here. So it's repeatable, it's future-proof, if you want to think about it that way. So now that we fixed up the structure, we can just fix up also the column names. And now the data is right in the shape that we needed for our analysis, and we could continue going from here and just loading this into a data flow. I'm going to show a last example of authoring, and going back to this picture, just to reference. So we talked about how you could use our Power Query Online experiences to get data into Power BI data flows, but also into the common data service for applications. Now I'm going to show how you can actually also pull data from Power BI, or within Power BI, pull data from the common data service for applications into Power BI, so that you can analyze that data from that transactional systems that's CDS for apps. For that, we have also a connector within Get Data here in Power Query Online. It's also in Power BI Desktop, by the way. It's the Common Data Service for Apps connector. You need to specify the server URL, which is actually also hard to find within Power Apps, but you can do it from the Power Apps Maker portal, go into Advanced Customizations, and click it on the Resources link at the bottom for developer resources, and you need to re-authenticate, but in the interest of time, I actually have my URL ready to go here, but in this page, you'll be able to grab it. So I'm going to come back and paste that URL. I'm already signed in as well because I did this demo earlier this morning. Now when we click Next, we're going to go into the exact same experience, the Navigator dialog. As you know, in Power Query, we make the experiences consistent across all of the data sources, so it's the exact same. In this case, we've organized the entities in 3 different folders. There's entities in the CDS for apps that conform to the common data model, so we have a folder for them, and then we have a bunch of custom entities. And we also put, kind of try to hide the system entities, which you most likely don't need to care about. Let's go and look under common data model. And I have a bunch of entities here, so let's pick one, which I think it's called system user. That will allow me to take the list of users that I have access for these apps in the common data service for apps, and I'm going to turn that into an entity in data flows. So let's actually go with that one. I'll click OK. And now I land that extra query into the query editor, so hopefully the preview will come back and will give us a view of the data. Great. So in this case, because it's actually a common data model, it's already in common data model schema, I don't need to do transformations. But really, the only thing that I need to do is to properly map this to a CDM entity. And this is a current shortcoming, but this entity actually comes in as custom. But that's a perfect situation for me to demo you the map to standard capability. So this map to standard transform is the actual experience that we've provided you so that you can map to the CDM schema within Power Query Online. So we can go and find, out of all of the CDM entities, which one I would like to map to. In this case, it's called user. And once I select the user entity type, we pre-populate the description and the fields for that entity with the definition of that entity in CDM. All you need to do is actually map the source columns, or in other words, the columns that you had in the query preview for that specific query into the target. In this case, we actually do auto mapping because we do compare names and column names and types from the source to the ones that are expected in the CDM schema, and we automatically suggest those mappings. So it's already been pre-populated, but otherwise, you could have used these dropdowns to actually configure those mappings one by one. And you could leave many of them blank as well. There's some that are optional, some that are required. So once you've done that and click OK, this just becomes a regular transformation step in your query. And if you notice, the entity type up here, it actually now changed to user because we've mapped to that user entity in CDM. So now once we click Done and we actually make this part of the data flow definition, you could schedule refresh and get this data into that CDM shape, populated into Azure Data Lake. And of course, the final outcome of that, as Matthew was stressing throughout his speech, is to actually consume this data or consume these data flow entities in order to create data sets and reports within Power BI Desktop. So for that, I'm going to switch to Power BI Desktop, and you're going to find under the Get Data dialog, there is the Power BI category, and you're going to find the Power BI Data Flows connector. This is actually already there since the September release of Power BI Desktop. It's in preview, so we'll give us a warning on that, a reminder on that. And then we're going to go into, guess what, the Navigator dialog, in this case in Desktop. And here I actually see different folders for each of the workspaces within Power BI in which I have some data flows available and made available to me. We've been kind of partying on the Common Data Service for Analytics Stakeholders one all day. So we have a few things here. For example, we have the first one that I populated today was in this afternoon was this one, but still haven't refreshed. I have a backup version of that from this morning, which is the Salesforce demo, which has the same entities. And I can just start picking the ones that I need. Maybe I'll pick a couple of them. And at this point, it's just like regular Power BI report authoring capabilities. So either edit to go into the query editor to further transform this if I needed to, or just click in load, which will make them available in the report view for visualizations. With that said, I'm going to turn it back to Matthew. Couple more, sorry.
It's all good. There's no stress.
Yes, there you go.
So the thing that I think is so exciting about what we've seen so far is how familiar it is. It's exciting because it's boring. So you've built Power Queries before. You've built reports using Get Data before. What we've done is we've enabled scenarios for reuse in multiple ways. And this is really the core set of capabilities for what we're shipping in Power BI. But it's more than just Power BI, and there's more than just what we're showing off today. And I want to talk a little bit about some of that big picture. So we've talked about what's in Power BI, but what if we wanted to take that data that was created through a Power BI data flow? So our finance analyst who connected to a web service and Salesforce and some other thing and mashed them up together to solve his problems. If our data science team said, oh, I really need this for my finance model, how would we make this available to them seamlessly for their Azure machine learning or other machine learning environment? So how do we get the data created in Power BI out to, out to Azure? This is something that we often refer to as our bring your own lake story. So the bring your own lake functionality is a scenario where a Power BI administrator can take an existing Azure subscription that has an Azure Data Lake storage resource and essentially tell Power BI, instead of storing data flow data in this Azure storage that is managed by Power BI, put it in my organizational storage account. From that point on, all of the data that is produced by these data flows executing is stored in a location that authorized users can find and work with in Azure Data Lake Store. The boxes down at the bottom that are labeled CDM folder, this is the name of the format that we use for the data. And it's as simple as anything can be. For each entity, there is, let me rephrase that, for each data flow, there is a folder. There is a JSON file in that folder that has metadata about entities and queries and so on. And then for every entity, there's one or more text file. We store it as CSV and JSON so that any application that knows how to read CSV files in JSON, which in 2018 is every application that exists, can work with this data. So if Power BI writes it, other applications can read it through the bring your own lake capabilities. So we've got that functionality going in one direction, but how about if we're doing processing in Azure Machine Learning, or if we're doing processing in Databricks, we're doing processing in our custom application, and we want that to be exposed as these strongly typed reusable objects, these data flow entities in Power BI. This is also a key scenario that we're targeting. So there's two things that are highlighted here. One of them is the center bit with Dynamics 365 F&O, Finance and Operations. So we've heard suggestions that people like to do business intelligence on top of their business data. You know, some people.
Quite unreasonable, but
there's business on both sides. It's an understandable mistake for people to make. So one of the things that we're working on with the Dynamics team is functionality from an application perspective that your Dynamics administrator can say, write this data with these parameters into Azure. It'll put it in a CDM folder and mount that CDM folder that Dynamics is writing to into Power BI as a read-only external data flow. And the other arrow that you see on the slide is coming from Azure Machine Learning. Even though we're building this and we're enabling ISVs to do this too, so this is a big part of our ISV story around data flows, we're also making it as easy as possible for any application that can write to Azure Data Lake Storage. If your application can create text files and JSON files, they can make that information available inside of Power BI. And as far as your Power BI users are concerned, it's just another data source. So the same consumption experience is consistent regardless of how the data was produced. But the most exciting thing, the thing that to me, with a background as an ETL developer, feels like magic, is the Excel-like nature of data flow entities. If you think about Excel, Excel stores values, but it also has code. An Excel cell can contain a formula that references other cells. And we take for granted that if we update one of those other cells, the formula value will automatically update because it's in Excel, right? That's just how it works. But we also take for granted that if we want to update a table in a data warehouse or files in our data lake or just enterprise data in general, that we need to be very declarative and orchestrated ourselves, right? So we need to make sure that our extract into our staging environment completes before we run our next process to load into the data warehouse or do the downstream things, right? That's where the complexity lives in most data warehousing today, and Power BI data flows can make that complexity go away. And the reason for this is because every entity has a formula, just like a cell does in Excel, but the formula is the Power Query. The only way that the data gets into the entity is the Power Query executing, which means that you have authoritative data lineage built in because you know exactly where the data is coming from 100% of the time. And perhaps most excitingly, through linked entities, where one data flow entity uses another data flow entity as its source, when the upstream entities update, the downstream entities can automatically update because of the Power BI data flow calculation engine. It manages all of this data just like Excel manages the data in its worksheets. It knows when the upstream data has been updated. It knows the dependencies and will update these in a timely and transactionally consistent manner so that the patterns that you're used to seeing where data sources move into staging, move into cleansing, move into standardization, and you've got however many steps are necessary for your process before it ends up in some shape, that final business view that is very close to what your analytics model looks like. You can implement this type of pattern and not have to worry about that orchestration logic because of the intelligence in the platform, because it lives in Power BI.
With that said, we have about 6 minutes left, so we're wrapping up. Just a reminder about other related sessions this week. There's a bunch of them who have already happened. We are right in the fourth one as we speak. So we did a few sessions already on Common Data Service for apps and data ingestion. We did a session on CDM earlier today. I recommend you to watch the recordings on those two. Tomorrow, we're doing a deep dive into Power Query. Come to that if you want to learn about what's coming new in terms of innovation for data preparation over the next few months. So we'll do a bunch of demos there as well. And we're also doing a deep dive into the on-premises data gateway in the afternoon. We'll also do a repeat of this morning's session, but a 75-minute version tomorrow afternoon, which I believe it's already sold out, but you might want to try in case you want to see us doing the same session, but longer with a couple more demos
A little more time.
With that said, let's actually switch to this other slide deck because we have to show this slide, which I'm sure you've never seen before, right? And so the same goes for the next one with the evaluations. We'll take questions on the mic so that they get recorded. Yes. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Yes, thank you very much. And if you do have a question, please cue at a mic.
So are you taking questions?
Save 5 minutes for questions. There we go. There's our first question. So please fire away, sir.
So are you working with the industry-specific accelerators as well? I mean, so the healthcare accelerator, how does that fit in this grand scheme of things?
Yeah, so the question is, how does the healthcare accelerator for Dynamics
Or
fit into this?
Yeah, the Power App or the CDM.
Yeah, so as part of the healthcare accelerator, we're actually enhancing CDM with new sets of packages. That fits with what we showed here because you'll be able to map to those entities as well as part of that map to standard transformation that I showed.
But the path will be from CDM into CDM for analytics.
Correct. So
Not directly, you
once
can't
the entity definition is being added to the CDM as an external or additional package, you'll be able to map to that shape, to that schema, for the data that you bring from other sources and load it to ADLS.
I just want to confirm that the analytics will also have those additional custom entities that are in the healthcare accelerator.
Yes, it will bring additional industry packages as well.
There will be some delay before they show up, so they won't appear in both places at the same time, but because they're all based on CDM, absolutely they will.
Okay.
Yeah.
You, sir.
Hi, I was wondering if you could speak a little in regard to the story around making data flows and the data stored by the data flows discoverable and consumable to other folks, either individuals, groups, or the organization?
So discovery is always a very interesting question and challenge. Are you asking specifically about the data flow objects in Power BI or just broadly in general? Because I have two different answers.
Yeah, so I'd say two-prong, right? So the data flows for folks using the service to consume those that have already been created, but then more the data science route, like how are folks going to know what's in the data lake?
So inside of Power BI itself, one of the things that we're working on for our EIM or enterprise BI capabilities is the ability to certify and promote data sources. Data flow entities will be part of this, so authorized users will be able to certify them, rate them, provide additional metadata inside the service, so inside the browser, and this would then be given pride of place or a more prominent location in the get data experience so that it's easily discoverable for the appropriate users. The second question, how do you find what's in the lake, is a larger question that isn't really going to easily fit into this format. The enterprise data discovery problem is one that we're actively working on, but it's going to come later than the shorter-term Power BI discovery.
So we don't want entities to cast away in the data lake.
I'm not going to go there. Question, sir.
I think you just answered one of my questions, which is, can I control who can use the data flow in the organization?
Oh, absolutely. So the short term is that because data flows are contained inside a workspace, the permissions are set through the workspace. So when data flows public preview becomes available, a workspace member can read the data that's in the data flows, and a workspace owner can edit, modify, and create. And we plan to have more granular security moving forward, but that is what you see first.
Great. And our second question is, we have been trying to use get data from existing data models in the organization so that regular business users could just take advantage of data models that we have built. But there is some features that are not available when you do that, right? It's going to be the same with CDS?
So I want to say no is the short answer. So shared data sets, so using a tabular model, that Power BI data set as a data source, because it is an analytics model rather than something designed inherently to be a data source, even though reuse can be valuable in some situations, there are limitations built in based on simply what it is. Data flows, because they are not analytics models, they are logically a data warehouse. The implementation is different, but if you think about them as a data warehouse, it's a good mindset to have. So they will not have the same limitations, but at the same time, if you want to share things like a KPI or a computed member or something along those lines, you won't find that functionality in the same way in data flows.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And you'll be the last question as well, just to be respectful of the clock.
So when you connect external data sources, do you still have to schedule refreshes, or will it automatically update?
So there's, I always have multiple answers. So when you're connecting to an external data source, so when your data flow is pulling in data from a source that exists outside of the system, you can have an on-demand refresh, you can have a scheduled refresh, and coming soon, you will have incremental refresh like we've added for data sets. And that bringing the data into Power BI is still following the same patterns that you're used to with data sets. But any downstream data flow that references that original data flow, the one on the boundary, those are the ones that will automatically update.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everyone, and thank you for everyone online. It's been awesome.
Yeah, bye, Mom.
Thanks. Bye there.